Hey there, Internet. So, short notice, they are doing a bill here a couple of bills in Washington. And if there's any little things going on noise-wise, it's in the other room because my wife is helping make dinner. We do a team operation here. So there's two bills. One is in committee tomorrow. You might not even see this video until after. If you're not in Washington, you know people in Washington, make sure they get it anyway because this bill needs to be followed and hopefully shot down before it can get to the governor's desk. There are actually two bills that are of concern because one interacts with the other. The main bill that is in committee tomorrow, and it is in it has been referred to the, where is it? Human Services Committee. Goes into committee tomorrow, hearing tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Supposedly you got to have your comments in by 9:30. I'll be submitting mine. It definitely works towards a goal because if you watch what the title of this video is, Washington State is trying to set up to potentially allow your kids to get what they call protected health services without you even knowing or being able to stop them. And that's Senate Bill 5599. It is entitled Supporting Youth and Young Adults Seeking Protected Health Care Services. That is essentially, there's not tons and tons of new legislation in it, but just a few lines that are very meaningful. And the other bill is SB 5489 concerning access to reproductive health care services and gender-affirming treatment in Washington State. That has a lot of new text. SB 5599 allows youth shelters to not contact the parents of runaways unless there is a compelling reason, according to Section 11A, which is on page 1. And you might ask, what is a compelling reason? Because to most of us, we would consider it abuse or neglect. But in Section 2CI, which is on page 2, it says it includes, to read it directly, is compelling reasons include, but are not limited to, circumstances that indicate that notifying the parent or a legal guardian will subject the minor to abuse or neglect as defined, and it gives it the relevant RCW. That would be fine. Or, here's the kicker, when a minor is seeking or receiving protected health care services. And then it says, with the next line, which is also on page 2, at the bottom, it says, protected health care services has the same meaning as provided in chapter, it says, Laws of 2023, Senate Bill 5489. 5489 is already out of committee. I either didn't catch up to it or realize what it was. Essentially, it is a sanctuary bill for certain services. Well, what are protected health care services? And this is where 5489 comes in, which essentially makes this state a sanctuary state from people looking to pursue charges against somebody who seeks medical procedures or drugs not allowed in their own state. So if someone comes from, say, Idaho, wants to get an abortion in Washington. In this case, a youth runaway from Boise could come across to Washington and and it keeps Idaho from trying to pursue charges against the woman, which constitutionally, as pro-life as I am, okay, that is at least within the laws of each state. But when it comes to minors, that don't fly with me. And it basically gives all sorts of ways of, in SB 5489, of trying to stifle that. But it defines protected health care services means gender-affirming treatment and reproductive health care services as lawful in the state of Washington. And under reproductive health care services, so you know, it says all services, cares of products of medical, surgical, psychiatric, therapeutic, mental health, behavioral health, diagnostic, preventative, rehabilitative, supportive, counseling, referral, prescribing, or dispensing nature relating to the human reproductive system, including but not limited to all services, care, products relating to the pregnancy, assisted reproduction, contraception, miscarriage management, or the termination of a pregnancy, including self-managed terminations. So, 14-year-old runs away in Washington State or not. They get an abortion without their parents being able to know, let alone argue against it or stop it. So it directly undermines the parents. That's irrespective of any of the rest of the abortion debate. You shouldn't be undermining parents. So between the two bills, it essentially allows your child who runs away because they're pregnant and don't want to tell you about it. It doesn't even mean you're going to get abused, that you're going to abuse them. It just means that maybe you say, daughter, we will support you. We will help you get through high school. We will help take care of the child. But we don't do abortion here. It's morally wrong. They can get it without you even knowing or saying anything about it. In the case of gender-affirming care, somebody convinces your kid at school, and I have a friend where that may well have happened. You end up with your child can go and run away and seek puberty blockers, hormones. Puberty blockers are not meant for the way they're using them. Hormones, which can permanently leave them incapable of having children, and all the other things that go with gender-affirming care. Because SB 5489 includes, listing off gender-affirming care includes, but not limited to, evaluation treatments for gender dysphoria, gender-affirming hormone therapy, and gender-affirming surgical procedures. So all the mutilating that some of these places like Vanderbilt University Hospital in Nashville was doing, on video talking about doing double mastectomies on healthy girls. This allows Washington State hospitals to do the exact same thing. And you don't get to know about it or say, no, my child does not have that. Well, a common thread with liberals, I've noticed, liberals and children have a thing in common. They think they have the same intellect and wisdom as an adult when neither one seem to. Okay, children do not have the intellect or wisdom, and that's why parents are supposed to guide them and protect them. So, and then Section 3, it also allows a host home, which it has a whole other definition for, to not include contact parents or legal guardians unless there's a compelling reason to do so. So you could know that your child is staying at a certain kind of host homes, and that's a whole other definition that's been there for a while. But they could say that we don't have a compelling reason to do so because, this kid's been just convinced they're trans when they're not. Because most people are not. And that now your teenager has sterilized themselves by the time before they're even an adult, can make those decisions for themselves. And then Section 3 authorizes the state to give money in the amount of $7.5 million to organizations working with youth to provide host services. And the way that is actually read, the part about host homes is put on page 7 of the bill. It's only a 9-page bill. So you can show that you are 5599 is a 9-page bill. You can easily show you're overqualified for Congress just by reading this thing before you comment. Not hard. At the very bottom, Section 3 attends to the money side, and it's mostly about, it seems very innocent. The new section added to this chapter the sum of $7.5 million, or as much thereof as may be necessary, is appropriate for fiscal biennium ending in June 30th, 2023, to the Office of Homeless Youth Prevention, and it looks like they had a typo there because 2023 we're already in here. In that fiscal biennium, we're in that right now, to the Office of Homeless Youth Prevention and Protection Programs for the purpose of providing access to supportive care grants to organizations in order to address the needs of youth and young adults seeking protected health care services. And it lists off what these may include. For supportive care grants funded under this section shall provide support to youth and young adults seeking protected health care services and may include access to behavioral health services, peer navigators and support, employment support, education support, case management, advocacy and outreach, housing and financial services, or other navigation support to secure safe and stable housing, including the use of host homes as provided in. And it gives the RCW that's relevant here. And then again says for purposes of this section, protected healthcare services. So they can sit there and deliberately house kids outside your home, and you don't even know what the kid's doing. You might not even know that they've been found. This is the state trying to usurp the role of the parent. This is the state trying to convince that the parents do not matter. We're just not going to tell them. Often, people that have these issues like gender dysphoria, or are young people who are too young to be going out and doing what it takes to get pregnant. There's other things going on there, and it's not even that the parents are neglectful or bad, but the parents are being ignored. The parents are being shot down. Comment on this bill, and if you get this too late to get it in before the committee hearing, make sure you contact your legislators, and make sure you contact the governor's office and say, this is a bad bill. There's going to be another round of being able to stop it in committee. If it gets past the Senate, it goes to the House, and if you keep an eye on it, you can actually stop it in that. Maybe we can stop it in that committee, or at the very least, make a stink about it, because this is a bad bill and it needs to stop. Until then, share this with your friends, especially on short notice and after, because they need to know about this bill so it can be pushed back against. Until then, you all take care.